we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
The reversal of the Plessy versus Ferguson case in 1954 decided that state-sponsored segregation did not violate the Equal Protection Clause in the 14th Amendment. The African-American populace warmly received the verdict, prompting newly inspired hope that the possibility of racial equality might finally be realized. Despite the Supreme Court's ruling in the Brown versus Board of Education case, white resistance persistently ignored requirements to provide an integrated education to all the nation's children. The national media had saluted the city of Louisville for accomplishing the school desegregation without friction in the 50s. 20 years later, however, the outbreak of violence that greeted the beginning of busing in the newly merged city and county systems earned Louisville a poor reputation. The hostile impact of opposition to busing in 1975 led to the negative public memory of the segregation in the community of Louisville. The financial instability of Louisville's city school system played a major role, resulting in court-ordered busing for the city's public schools. The instability forced the Board of Education to merge Jefferson County into the Louisville school system, sparking outrage throughout the white communities of the city. Self-interest concerning their children's new education and safety versus the racial attitudes of Louisvillians formed the root of opposition to busing. Efforts to revive the promotion of school desegregation, along with increasing racial tensions, provided a feeling of unwelcomeness to further social change. Parents began to worry about their children's physical safety, along with the educational and economic consequences of busing. The consequences to the opposition of busing materialized in the form of mass rallies, boycotts, riots, and even physical violence. In particular, the riots of September 5, 1975 saw protesters at Southern and Valley high schools, numbering in the thousands, take to the streets to voice their disapproving opinion a day before the court-ordered busing was to commence. The protesters burned school buses, threw rocks through the windows, and even attacked the police. The mob was eventually suppressed when the governor of Louisville, Julian Carroll, was forced to order in over 800 National Guardsmen. As a result, over 200 arrests were made, ranging from disorderly conduct to assault and battery. The demonstration's theme of pro-segregation and anti-busing was voiced throughout the community of Louisville. Letters written from the organizations and concerned members of society began to flood the mailboxes of Louisville's newspapers as citizens looked for any way to voice their personal opinions. The letters took as aggressive tones stating, "The school systems were now broken, the teachers were being surplus, the quality of education was going down, and now the suicidal rate amongst teens in Jefferson County was among the nation's highest." Another more radical view was the whole anti-busing movement was an anti-black movement, aimed at taking away the civil rights gains made during the 1960s. The hostile impact of opposition to busing in 1975 led to the negative public memory of the segregation in the community of Louisville. In many ways, Louisville possessed the key ingredients for a smooth transition in alleviating race relations. It had a strong presence of liberal whites, local newspapers that understood the economic benefits of a stable community, an ally and organized labor, a politically active African American community, an engaged group of religious leaders who wanted to address the racial problem, and a strong local NAACP chapter. But unfortunately, during this era, Louisville was a blurring freedom of agendas, subject to Southern tendencies for racial prejudice. Although education in Louisville and across the nation has recovered from the memory of anti-busing during the civil rights, it still leaves a bitter taste in the mouths of those most directly affected by the fallout of educational standards during the academic year of 1975.